Hey folks, this is Jadius,
And this base.
and we are in the Wood League, and so are you. And this is Game 2 of the Best of 7 Showmatch Series, the Gosu Gamers King of the Hill between Huk and MorroW, a growing rivalry. The Wood League will be presenting you each game, one a day, of this series. Pretty exciting. Game 1 was pretty fast, but we saw Huk putting MorroW off his
On
game
notice.
on notice, putting him straight on notice, and as he's been doing for quite a bit for the last few weeks. And let's see if MorroW can bounce back here.
Alright, Jay, just got a bit of a different question for you today.
All right, shoot.
Do you find that some names make you think that people are less attractive than others? You know, like Bertha, for example, or...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like if I had a blind date with a woman named like Gertrude or Myrtle or something like that, then I would expect her to be homely. And
Yeah.
if I had a blind date with a girl named like Tiffany or Amber or Sunshine Flower, I would expect them to be bubbly,
Yeah, you know
blonde.
about the hot girl I met that was actually named Olga, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
must
Well,
have told you about that before.
Olga.
When she told me her name, I kind of cringed. So what's your name? Olga. Ooh. But,
But like Olga is like the brandy of Russia, so it's hard to tell. It might be
uh,
like the hottest name in Russia ever, and which
maybe.
we wouldn't even know it.
Looks
Olga's
like
Olga's a
Huck,
sneaky one.
looks like Huck is scouting the wrong direction here, and be almost 3 minutes into the game that he will finally find MorroW's base.
Yeah, but MorroW won't know where his base is, so he still gets out ahead, and looks like the probe harass will start in earnest, despite being a little bit late. And I'm sure MorroW expected it. Was checking his watch as to when that probe harass would begin.
Ooh, this probe is taking some serious damage though. Almost gets killed, loses half of his armor.
Yeah, but with probes, almost is not even good enough. We're going to go back to square one, full shields in a few seconds, and he's probably going to be right back in that base. Now, he'll find a Marine waiting
Yeah, with
for
the
him.
Marine
Though.
out there, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, looks like that harassment will be finished before it even really begins. Unlike the first game, Huk not really able to annoy MorroW as much, getting out a fast Marine there. A Marauder on the way from from MorroW. And a second barracks. Looks like MorroW sticking with the heavy barracks build as he did in the first game, and it more or less let him down in the first game. I'd like to see him go to a fast factory right off the barracks, which he usually does, and which he seems to feel so comfortable doing.
Yeah, well, you know what I'd like to see actually is for MorroW to push early this game, and it looks like he might be doing that. He knows where Huck's base is now, so what he needs to do is get in there with those early Marines and Marauders and see if he can do some damage right off the bat.
Now, seeing that Huk is opting to build a stalker rather than a zealot, and a sentry coming out on the heels of that stalker, so no zealots right now, and maybe MorroW feels that he can handle that stalker with a couple of Marauders and a Marine. Looks like he's going to do just that. Two barracks right now, rocking and rolling. One getting a reactor, one with a tech lab already up, pumping out another Marauder, researching stim packs. So it looks like there might be some early aggression from MorroW, but kind of stopping short at the Zelnog watchtower. And it just really seems like MorroW is off his game against Huk. It really seems like he's apprehensive, and so much more so than when he's approaching any other player.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, MorroW, I guess he's checking for proxies here now. He just doesn't know. It seems like he's just afraid of all the different strategies that Huk could be pulling out on him. I mean, I guess Huk's got into his head over time, and now MorroW is just afraid of him. It seems like he's really holding back here. He's just worried about what might happen later in the game.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just not doing justice to MorroW's true ability. Really just psychologically off his game when he plays Huk. And I can understand, a lot of bad beats over the last few weeks when facing Huk, this rivalry really developing. But, MorroW's got to climb back into this rivalry, or it'll be less of a rivalry and more of a just constant punishment here for MorroW when he sees Huk, up on the bracket. So MorroW, going out for his fast expansion, which we talked about in the first game, pretty much standard play for him. Feels like he can protect it now. A good amount of units out as far as MorroW is concerned, probably would be able to handle Huk with a little bit of kiting. Has the Xel'Naga Watchtower in control, so he'll see any attack that's coming, so he feels like he can handle a second expansion. Meanwhile, an observer out here for Huk, so Huk sees that he's getting the second expansion, and he's going to get his own right away. A lot of players seem to be doing that. Counter an expansion with an expansion seems to be a popular strategy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to keep up. If your opponent starts to get a better economy than you, then either you stop them from expanding or create an expansion of your own. And Huk has chosen to create an expansion of his own.
And now MorroW's going to push in with his units again, but again, like you said, Bayes, this is too late. This is too late for him to do this. If he had done this, 2 minutes ago, maybe there would be far less zealots out on the field, and absorbing so many of those grenades. And now MorroW's on his heels, and again he's building a third barracks, no factory. Scratch that, a fourth barracks.
The sentry's making great use of force field to just mess up MorroW's composition, mess up his army, and yeah, now MorroW is seriously on his heels. Huk is going to be moving in right now, and he's not going to give MorroW any time to prepare for this attack. Bunkers going up, one bunker going up, and looks like Huk is not attacking. Why do you think this is, JDS?
Well, in MorroW's favor, the amount of barracks that he is producing allow him to be, very Zerg-like in his reinforcement, and have the ability to have a force that is able to push back, a considerable amount of units very, very quickly. I mean, Huk didn't come out too far ahead from their skirmish. The force fields did do their job well, but probably feels like he doesn't have enough units yet. I don't know if this is really fear or more of a feeling that I just totally ransacked MorroW's forces, and I can play the psychological game a little bit more.
I think Huk wants to catch up on economy. He's way behind MorroW, making far less minerals per second. And I think he's holding back so that he can get his expansion up.
Also, Colossi coming out here for Huk, maybe also what he is waiting for, because that he used great effect in the first game. Forced MorroW to focus fire those Colossi with his ground forces, with his barracks forces, which MorroW is again moving out with. Here's the factory. Here's the starport. Finally, some different buildings from MorroW. Putting out some medevacs onto the field, getting a reactor on his factory, a little interesting. Maybe planning some Hellion harass as a distractionary tactic, but very interesting to see him have a reactor. You know what? I think he's going to lift it off. If I had to predict, he's going to lift it off, and he's going to put the starport there, and that was his idea. There we go. There's the liftoff. I was right. Of course, I was right.
Yeah, so some fast Vikings will be coming out here to hopefully stop this Colossus, or provide adequate defense against the Colossi. Yep, that's exactly what's happening. So MorroW is better equipped already than he was last game.